I can remember as a student standing out in the audience watching my professors lecture from behind a podium. And I always had this fantasy that the reason why they stood behind a podium is because they weren't wearing their pants. I want you to know I'm wearing mine. Can I have my first slide, please? Most people know me as the author of books. I would like to explain that almost 15 years ago, I fell in love with the wrong woman. I fell in love with a woman who is one of North America's premier flautists. It means that she works every night and every weekend. Could you imagine being in love with a woman who works every night and every weekend? Every evening, between 6:30 and 7, she walks out the door and doesn't come home until after 11 o'clock at night. I had to come up with something to do nights and weekends to stay out of trouble. And that became writing books. I have a day job. My day job is being the chief executive officer of a research and consulting firm. We are a testing agency for retail innovation. Whether we're working on a new Adidas store in Beijing or a Nokia flagship in Shanghai or the new Citibank branch in Singapore or a hypermarket in Mumbai or a shopping mall in Abu Dhabi or the prototype Samsung store in Istanbul, or a library in Zurich, or a new H&M in Berlin, or the new prototype ExxonMobil station in Ireland, or the lingerie section at Selfridges in London, or Bombres in Bahia in Brazil. All across the world, as we work with merchants, we have the same series of issues. Whether I'm running a store in Bulgaria, or in China, or in Israel, we are seeing global issues that are driving our consumer shopping trends. First is what we call visual acuity, meaning that our visual language is evolving faster than our spoken or written word. Thanks to the internet, thanks to movies, thanks to television. The connection between our eyes and our brains has never been better. We process icons. We process images in a different way in 2010 than we as a species did even 25 years ago. Our eyes are very important to us. One of the troubles, though, is that if I go to the design studios, working, whether it's on retail design, on packaging design, or designing an airport, the person at the CAD/CAM screen doing the actual design work is generally under age 30. And his eyes work differently than yours and mine do. I'm 58. The lenses in my eyes are yellowed. The way I see color and the way you see color is different. The way my eyes react to changing light is nowhere near as quick as yours. Who are we designing for? If I'm a nightclub in Ruse, I'm not designing for you and me. I'm designing for the kids. Be careful. But if I'm a major shopping mall, or I'm a grocery store, I have to recognize the breadth of who I'm dealing with. If I'm a telecom store, I'm selling to teenagers, I'm selling to grandparents. And how I think of the functioning part of my store visually is a key element to my success. Second issue is we live in a world that's owned by men, designed by men, managed by men, and yet we expect women to participate in it. What makes a store, a bank, a dressing room, a shopping mall, or an airport female-friendly? In every assignment that we do, we are asking that question. Let me give you a simple example. We work for Ford. Every once in a while, I take a small group of senior executives from the Ford Motor Company, and we go visit Ford dealerships across Europe. And do you know one of the first places I take them? We walk into the dealer, and they walk in to the women's restroom. We walk into the women's restroom, and I say, do you think your wife would like to pee here? And the answer often is no. We know that for women, there are at least two very seminal issues to the success of a car dealership or a shopping mall. One is security, and the other is hygiene. How do we make it clean? How do we make it memorable? Third issue is time and money. Most of our department stores, Kaufhaus in Berlin, Selfridges in London, Bon Marché in Paris, Beyman in Istanbul, Macy's in New York, were designed for someone who is going to come spend 4 hours a night. The original design of a shopping mall was based on the fact that someone would come in and spend 4 or 5 hours in the shopping mall. But in 2010, who has 4 or 5 hours? We need to conceive of a store, a shopping mall, based on a different mission statement. As we move through our lives, there's a clock ticking inside our heads. And that clock ticks with a relative degree of loudness. Whether I'm thinking of a grocery store, a shopping mall, I have one piece of my customer base that wants to come in and out as quickly as possible. Who's choosing their parking spot outside the mall to be able to get in and out versus someone who's come from the other side of the river, who fully intends to spend much of the day. I can stop someone and say, do you feel more money poor or time poor? And even in these economic times, the answer is often